This week in PlayStation, we're talking about, are we ever getting another PlayStation crossover game again? Should I do a new Cyberpunk 2077 playthrough? And what the PlayStation 5 is missing. We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. Welcome to the show, everybody. That's Blessing. That's Janet. I'm Greg. And you can get this show on patreon.com/KindaFunny. There you can watch us record it live, get it ad-free, and get dozens of monthly exclusive episodes, all on patreon.com/KindaFunny. If you have no bucks toss our way, no big deal. Support us on the Epic Game Store, Fortnite, Rocket League, or Fall Guys with the creator code KindaFunny. You can get PS I Love You XOXO for free with ads and without the exclusive content on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames and podcast services around the globe. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Jackson Hampton, Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays, but let's start with a PSN message from Yo! Hello, Blessing. Hello, Janet. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm good.
Janet, I don't understand you sometimes. All right? Blessing, of course, an open book.
I am.
I'm at this Friendsgiving. I'm at that Friendsgiving.
Yep.
This is what I'm doing. I've been in a car accident.
Yeah.
I bought a slushie.
I never said that part actually, but yeah.
Janet. I mean, people assume you've been in a car accident at some point. This
No,
wasn't
I've
a
never
Thanksgiving
mentioned
thing.
it.
Yeah, well,
the
people
Thanksgiving
assume
part?
that, you know.
You weren't in a Thanksgiving car accident, were you?
Was I in the Thanksgiving car?
No.
accident? No.
I'm just pulling from information I know about you.
Oh, okay.
You've been in car accidents
His
before.
social
Yeah, I mean,
security
before,
number
yeah,
is
at some
coming
point in my
up
life, I was in a car
Janet,
accident.
what were
for
you
sure.
up to at Thanksgiving? Because I see you got
Oh,
the
yeah.
the woodchuck from Bucky's, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I don't
Bucky.
understand. What? Where were you? What were you doing?
I went to this is Bucky. If you're watching the video version, there's a place called Bucky's. It's a gas station. It's huge, and there's this guy called Bucky, and he's adorable, but he's also a little scary looking.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of kids probably have nightmares of Bucky. But I went to Texas to see my aunt. I have an aunt that lives in Texas,
I
and
know
I was
that.
like, hey, like it was Isaiah's idea actually. He was like, oh, we should do something, you know, for Thanksgiving, like go see family. Normally I just do things kind of at home because I was already like living with my family, but now that we're not, it's like, okay, well, what do we want to do? And he's like, oh, we should see if she's down to have us over. And she was. We drove there. We will never drive there again.
I was gonna say that
'cause
sounds like
it
a
was-
long drive.
It was a long drive. And then at one point, like the rim of the wheel or something cracked, and then that was a problem. And we're like, is anyone open in the middle of nowhere the day before Thanksgiving?
Were
Turns
they?
out no.
No.
So-
no.
You know, that was definitely a hassle. Again, I didn't drive because I don't know how to drive. So
Sure. Fair
Edwin and
enough.
Isaiah drove, but you know, still a lot of time. But yeah, it was really fun. It was a great time. Food was incredible. Company was super fun. It was my aunt and one of her longtime friends. So yeah, that's what I was getting up to. It had been a really, really long time since like I had Thanksgiving plans that involved travel
Sure.
because my family's been here for like such a long time. And one of the years they weren't here, back when I think I was still maybe in San Francisco, like I had them come up to like see us. So I haven't done travel. But yeah, I'm like, I guess this is why the ticket is so much, because the alternative is to just
Shit
drive 20
sucks.
hours.
How
That's
many
kinda rough.
hours was that?
I think it was like 20,
Gotcha.
like each
goddamn.
way.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
So
No.
we got a hotel to sleep in to like break up the drive. But
Fair enough.
yeah, it was definitely really, really long. But also like I didn't drive, so like it's like very bougie of me to be like, man, my ass is falling asleep in this car. It's like I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting there. But you know, I'm like, this looks like a lot of work for everybody else involved. You know, I'm like,
Sure.
oh my back's starting to hurt. You know, but I'm not really doing anything. But then again, the Tesla drives itself, so I guess.
Blessing, my
Tesla really
question
does
for
most of the
you
stuff.
is: do you nail the pronunciation of aunt like Janet does?
Aunt. I go back and forth between aunt and
Aunt.
aunt. Yeah.
I just
Like,
say aunt.
I think growing up, I said auntie. Auntie was the go-to.
that's good. That's good.
I do Dia, but
oh,
you know,
yeah.
not everyone speaks Spanish.
If I did
who
that,
watches
it'd
here.
be cultural appropriation. my auntie would be like, "What?"
I don't know. You're Puzzle Poppy though. Where do you draw the line?
Okay,
you know what I mean?
that's
Is
a good
Puzzle
point.
Pop does that apply to language games as well?
I guess so, yeah. But like, what am I supposed to call myself? Puzzle father? Like that doesn't roll off the tongue the same way.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true.
I guess
Yeah.
Andy tried to take the puzzle poppy from me.
Most
thing
recent
from me.
Gamescast,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can call him Puzzle Tio because I feel like that is
Puzzle Uncle.
I really
Sure.
feel like Andy does have like uncle energy to him.
He
Oh,
is.
100%.
We do consider him Lulu's TO.
Makes
All right,
sense.
I think we make it happen.
No.
Yeah,
Andy's
that
uncle-
seems right.
I was gonna say Uncle Theo. No, I was gonna say Poppy Theo.
Uncle Theo is like, what is that, like non-bread,
Poppy
right?
Theo.
I like Poppy
ATM
Theo.
Father,
machine.
uncle.
Father, uncle.
Mhm.
Puzzle
ATM
Theo
machine.
is Andy now.
Our PSN message comes from YoCallMeRob. Of course, you can write in to be part of the show for free at kindafunny.com/PSILY. YoCallMeRob says, do you think PlayStation would ever make a crossover game like a kart racer or some kind of sports game, or were they too hurt by the failure of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale? Blessing out of Yo-Ye Jr.
I'd be surprised if they did. I think they're a bit. I think they were a bit hurt by the failure of PlayStation's All Stars Battle Royale. But like, I think even more than that, it is the ideation of what is it? Like, do we do another Smash clone? Do we do a kart racer? Do we do something else? Do we do a fun Marvel Snap type card game? Right? Like a lot of these, I think would be our dream scenario, and a lot of us would love these things. But I think the furthest extent they take it to would be what they did with Astro's Playroom, where it is, hey, here's a bunch of Astrobots wearing a bunch of cosplays of different PlayStation characters. And I think that gets the job done for them as a thing that is uniting the PlayStation branding. I think beyond that, it becomes too much of a risk. You know, like, okay, well, if we do another crossover thing and it fails, like, you know, like that, it feels like kind of an L for like the PlayStation brand as a whole. Whereas we see enough success with Horizon or Ghosts or Last of Us and all these things separately. I think it's harder for them than as opposed to like a Nintendo, where like a lot of those franchises exist in the same world anyway. When you look at a Mario and Donkey Kong and Wario type thing,
Yeah.
But also like they're all, you know, stylized. Like yeah, and you can take Mario and put him alongside a Link and put him alongside a Captain Falcon, and it all kind of makes sense in a Smash. And Smash is a brand of its own, right? Like I would like people would wear like a Smash Brothers T-shirt without even having like any of the characters. I think that is just a strong enough brand. I would think that PlayStation would have to figure that out, and I don't know if they got the stuff. I don't know if they have it in them.
Janet, do you think there's any future for a crossover?
I think there is a future for a crossover because there's what's tough because like the community is always saying like I want this, and then sometimes you're like here it is, and they're like oh I didn't think you'd give it to me, and now I actually am not hungry anymore.
I'm not gonna pay for this.
So I think they're like yeah, who ordered this? Like what? I'm like oh anyway, so that happens a lot. You kind of have to know the community more than the community knows itself. But I feel like it could happen in the sense that like, hey man, you're trying to make all these live service games, and the walls are closing in on like what you're gonna pull off for that. And I think this could be a nice answer to that. But I mean, I would be mildly surprised if they did it, but I feel like it could easily go either way. Bless as the fighting game expert, I'm curious to know like, do you think that like, I mean, I feel like the common sense answer is maybe yes, but again, you know the space more. Like, is there a world though where they can make like I don't want to say top tier fighting game because that's a little bit too high, I think. But I think about, you know, Nickelodeon Brawl. What's the name of the game?
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
Yeah, and a lot of people who actually like know fighting games are like, oh, this game's actually like really good. Like, is there a world where that can happen, but with this PlayStation All-Stars sort of coat of paint, for lack of a better term? Because again, it's so much more than a coat of paint because of the mechanics. But like, do you see that as a possibility? And if so, like, why wouldn't they end up doing that? You know what I mean?
I don't think it will be successful in the same way as Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, or at least be received in the same way. Probably because I think with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, the expectations are so low that when Nickelodeon leaps over those expectations, it's like, whoa, like this is actually kind of insane. Like really, like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl it's a good to great game, but it's nowhere near Smash Brothers. I think once you start comparing it to Smash Brothers, then it's like, no, it's nowhere touching Smash Brothers. I think PlayStation runs into the same issue where I think the expectation for a PlayStation type Smash Brothers game is just too high. You know, I know plenty of people that like PlayStation, God, I get them mixed up now.
All-Stars Battle Royale.
All-Stars Battle Royale. I know enough people that like that game.
Me.
But yeah, like Greg Miller or Emma Watkins Jr., right? Like
Hell
there's
yeah,
like a
Emmett.
good cult following for that game. But I think the fact of the matter is that when you're talking about one that's made by a game that's coming from PlayStation, you have the level of expectation that is, oh, this is going to be as good as Smash. And I don't think you're going to be, as PlayStation, you're going to be able to make one as good as Smash.
For me, I think it's more than anything the fact that time has seemed to have passed. You can look at Nickelodeon. We can look at Multiversus if we want to. Rest in peace / it'll be back. And you talk about the fact of, oh, well, these crossovers still happen, but they don't happen on this level, right? Like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale was PlayStation being like, we got this stuff. And then them being quickly told, no, you do not have the stuff. This is not actually what people think of or at least connect with from PlayStation. Astrobot that was the perfect way to do it, right? You got this game, you went through and you had all these Easter eggs referencing Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil, Uncharted, and you were like, oh my God, what an amazing way to experience PlayStation lineage, let alone going into, the bottom basement floor and having the UMDs there and the Vita and, the Net Rosie and all the different things that are like, oh my God, like this is actually the hardware of PlayStation. Like that Astrobot did such a great job of delivering on what the nostalgia for PlayStation actually is. And I think that is Astrobot's future, hopefully, knock on wood, is that it comes out and it is another platformer and it celebrates PlayStation that way. I don't think the right move for PlayStation is to sit there and go, okay, cool, we're now going to make another mascot kart racer. They already did Little Big Planet karting. They already did PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. And those didn't work the way they wanted them to work. Honestly, if you're looking for more of this, YoCallMeRob, I think the honest to God answer is Fortnite, where you do see Uncharted, you do see Kratos, you do see every other IP that matters come to this thing and be in this toy box sandbox and be like, this makes sense. And as usual, as PlayStation, and we will talk about this in our topic of the show, what are they missing and what are they not doing? They're not making those kind of games. They're letting their partners use PlayStation IP that way. And I think that's the right way because, again, a first party, buy a studio, force a studio to make this weird crossover game, that just doesn't make sense for who they have.
Yeah, I think you, to your point, right, of like letting different companies use their IP, right? Like Ghost of Tsushima Legends is a good example where in that multiplayer mode, you can unlock a Shadow of the Colossus inspired skin. You can unlock skins that are inspired by a couple of other PlayStation IP. I could say I don't know the exact ones for Last of Us Part 1, like where you go and you can change Ellie's outfit. But I think, if I remember correctly, they have like an eco outfit in that game. They have like a bunch of different PlayStation references for the outfits you can have Ellie or Joel wear in that game. And I think, for that, like that kind of is enough, right? Like that gets the job done of the fan excitement of having this shared universe, or at least like this shared company that owns all these IPs that could work together. But I think a Fortnite gets it done. I think Aloy being a character in Genshin Impact gets it done. And like I don't know if we're in the era anymore where we need to take time to have a studio work solely on a big Smash Brothers game so that they can have like the PlayStation version of it, because I think at the end of the day it is what job is this getting done? Like what purpose is this serving? I don't know. I know there are people clamoring for another PlayStation Smash clone type game. I don't know if the world is. I don't know if there's enough people being like,
the mainstream, the majority, the people who go buy that are, right?
Yeah.
I think people want to celebrate their nostalgia for PlayStation rather than maybe revel in it and play in it.
Yeah.
But I was surprised by some of the responses I got when I asked you about our topic of the show. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I said, what is the PlayStation 5 missing? That's what I said at the top of the show. Is what I tweeted out earlier. And it actually stems from a conversation Blessing and I were having on Games Daily, or was it Gamescast? I forget. But it was a conversation about, number one, starting from, why is it that every indie drops their port way later in December? Why is it like every indie game that you've heard about through the rest of the year suddenly just pops up on the platform it wasn't on during December? I forget what my reference point for it was that just happened in the past week or got announced. But it was this idea of it. And then that made me stop and go, wait, where the fuck is Immortality? If you remember, ladies and gentlemen, Immortality, one of our games of the year last year, was on a lot of our short lists, ranked very highly in our game of the year thing. This is, of course, the FMV video. You go through the different things, try to figure out what happened to Marissa Marcel, from Sam Barlow, of course, from her story. Back on August 29th, 2023, there was a conversation that happened on Twitter where Sam Barlow tweeted, yes, Immortality is leaving Game Pass the same day that Starfield releases because you can either have 1,000 planets across 100 star systems or one true star, Marissa Marcel. You can't fit both. To which Nickophile Nick responded, is Immortality coming to PS5 and when? Are there any plans at all? Sam Barlow said, working on it, smiley emoji. Where the fuck is Immortality? Now, if that wasn't enough, I said that to you live on the show. And then I said, wait, where the fuck is Moonglow Bay? Moonglow Bay came out in 2021. This is a game where I'll talk about it later. I started playing Dredge, right? Again, I'm trying to get through all my game of the year. What did I miss? What are my blind spots? Yeah. I kick on Dredge. I play Dredge. When Dredge got announced, I looked at it and I said, well, why wouldn't I just go play more Moonglow Bay? A Switch PC Xbox game, right? Well, eventually came to Switch. Originally, it was just Xbox PC. indie game. You know, your partner. For me, choosing to play as a woman, it was my husband who had been lost at sea. My daughter comes to get me out of my funk. Typical Greg game. We get the boat, we start fishing, we're bringing life back to the. I'm like, this is great. I look at Dredge, it looks dark and scary, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't I want the brightness of Moonglow Bay? And Moonglow Bay is a game that I've played and I enjoy, and every time I start it on my Steam Deck, like, but why don't I just wait for PlayStation? Why am I not chasing a platinum trophy in this? And I keep saying, it's got to be coming. It's got to be coming. 2021 was a long time ago. It's 2023. Where the fuck is this game?
Like 10 years ago, by game standards.
By game dog standard and game standard, yeah.
Yeah.
So this then led us down.
The same.
This then led us down the rabbit hole of me, Greg Miller, going, well, what the hell? What's PlayStation 5 missing? And I opened it up to you, Blessing, and you, Janet, and you, the audience, and I said, it doesn't need to strictly be a game. Could be a feature, could be a genre, could be whatever you think. What is PlayStation 5 missing to you, Janet Garcia?
Oh, man. The first thing I thought of was Astrobot follow-up.
Yes.
This is, I think, almost, I don't want to say the opposite of the PSN message, but how I mentioned sometimes audiences want something, and then when it arrives, they don't really show out for it the way that you think they might. I think Astrobot people would totally show out for. Again, it's such a, I feel like too, it's so fitting to see this come to PS5 or to see something more done with Astrobot on PS5 because Astrobot like led the PS5 charge, you know, like baked in. People like, oh, should I delete this after? It's like, why would you? It's only 2 megabytes. I don't know how big the game actually is, right? But this is a fantastic platformer. Arguably one of the best to ever do it, despite only having 2 games in the space if you count the pack-in game, but you know, that's up for debate. Either way, every time Astro steps on the scene, everyone's like, this is incredible, it's joyful, it's different, it's exciting, and I think almost its like highest value point in a sense is the way that it really helps round out aspects of the PlayStation library. Again, we talk about what's PlayStation known for, and whether you love it or you meme it, it is the kind of, you know, blockbuster, polished AAA with like a story, and sometimes the story's fun and sometimes it's dark and all that. And they do that great, and I love those games. But I think we can all agree, whether, you know, we land on, again, on the praise side or the meme side, that they could maybe use a little bit more differentiation or growth in other avenues. And I feel like Astrobot, conceptually or as a franchise, it's like, boom, that's it. And there's so much you can, you know, again, he comes up time and time again of there's so much more you can even do with Astro in terms of the costumes, the fun, if you put him in different stuff. Like, there's so much it feels like that's there. And yet, when we turn to see where we can actually spend time with Astro, not a lot of places, right? A VR game, again, kind of limited because it is the kind of peripheral thing. The packing game, really fun, but a brief time that was just kind of showing what the DualSense can do. I'm forever waiting for Astro's time to shine again. And when it arrives, I'll be there.
It is ridiculous that we don't have another Astro game. You know what I mean? For the success this found at the PlayStation 5 launch 2020, then to look back at Rescue Mission, right, 2018, the standout killer app. I saw someone back in the day, I remember, for PlayStation VR, teasing before the review embargo that this was like Mario 64 levels of like, holy shit, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. Astro is such a success, I can't believe we don't have another one, that we don't have just a standalone. That's got to be around the corner, right, Blessing?
And I think the thing here is that you look at the cadence, and you said 2018 for Astrobot Rescue Mission, 2018 for that. If you're thinking that for Team Asobi, it's all hands on deck for Astro's Playroom, which I think makes sense because that was such a polished, you know, they put the TLC in there, right? Like, in 2 years, you're making this thing to launch with the PS5. That's going to be this what do they call it, tech demo that's really going to sell you on the tech. They succeeded in that, and that's like a 2-hour 3-hour experience depending on how much you're going to play it. I think that makes sense for the 2 years they spent on it. So the question is, since then, what have they been doing? You imagine that they're either working on something new or they're working on another Astrobot. And if they're working on another Astrobot, it's where we've hit the 3-year mark, 4-year mark. Three. We hit the
2020 is when they put out the last one.
Cool.
So now we're 3 years right now.
So we're hitting the 3-year mark. I think you still need more time to make another game, right? I think for me, I would assume, I would guess like, like 4 years sounds right. And also for a game like Astrobot, I think announcing it and releasing it very soon after sounds right. Like, I don't think that's the kind of game that you announce at this last PlayStation showcase that we got in spring and then say, and it's coming 2024.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could see it being like if it gets announced, let's say E3 time, let's say Summer Game Fest time this summer, I could see it being like and it's out in August situation and come through and blow us away. I hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
The Portland Kevin live on patreon.com/kindafunny says, I find it so baffling that Astrobot Rescue Mission has not been converted to PlayStation VR 2. 1,000%. I know we give PlayStation VR 2 a lot of shit on this show, right? Because of us and because of what we think of the library and because of yada, yada, yada. Like, of all the games to port, to bring over, Astrobot Rescue Mission, criminally underplayed.
To play devil's advocate, when we look at Astro's Playroom and Astrobot Rescue Mission 1, both of them serve the purpose of like really acting as tech demos. Astrobot Rescue Mission, more of a full game, more playtime, more levels, all that stuff. But when you play that game, it takes such advantage of the DualShock 4 and the PSVR 1 technology. And I could see the conversation over there of like, well, if we port it, like if we want to make a Astrobot Rescue Mission for PSVR 2, it has to take advantage of the cameras. It has to take advantage of the sense controllers. It has to take advantage and like really display what you can do with all the technological updates from PSVR 1 to PSVR 2. And I wonder if that's the conversation between Team Asobi and PlayStation and going, no, it muddies the message too much to put this thing out on a PSVR 2.
You've stunned Janet into silence. All right, so that's what's going on. We're having internet problems right now. No, I hear you and I understand that. It's just the idea that like, if you're putting out this thing and you're porting so many games and you're doing, like, you know that your launch lineup and just in general your first year is going to be thin and not have necessarily the AAA banger system sellers, I would make sure somebody's porting this over because we loved it so much and I don't feel enough people played it. And granted, you could say that like adopters of PlayStation VR 2 are probably going to be the people who already adopted PlayStation VR 1, but Astrobot Rescue Mission with a new trophy list or just a different trophy list and maybe an additional level would be, I'd be all about it.
I'd be all about it, yeah.
Yeah. Blessing.
Greg.
For you, what? And by the way, Tim Geddes had tweeted me and said Astrobot Rescue Mission on PlayStation VR 2 as well. So I want to make sure I'm getting all the reader mail in there from the people who don't really matter. For you, Blessing, what is the thing PlayStation VR or PlayStation 5 is missing?
Well, I'm having to pull out my phone because for whatever reason, I even hit the refresh button. My computer just decided that it can't open this file.
It's like, yo, internet's
so I don't have
dead.
the dock
I'm dead
anymore.
on this
But
too.
I do have it on my phone.
I can read some of it if you want.
No, yeah, I got mine. So, Sunset Overdrive was the first thing I wrote down. for
Wow.
mine. Yeah. I think the fact that you've had Insomniac for so long and you've had them working on Spider-Man and Ratchet, right? That stuff's exciting. But you also have access to the Sunset Overdrive IP. I'll think that, speaking of things that sound easy to do, I'll think a straight up port of Sunset Overdrive is something that you can put like some people on and have it be like a thing that's not going to take as much resources. I know you probably got to go in there and do like port work and change the like icons for like from Xbox to PlayStation. But yeah, like I wonder if I'm surprised we don't already have that. I wonder if that is a thing of, hey, let's wait for a down year. Maybe 2024 could be that if we don't have like an Insomniac game. If Wolverine's not coming out next year, maybe it is, hey, here's Sunset Overdrive, your Insomniac game for the year. I wonder if maybe they want to do more to it and not just have it be a straight up port. But that's one that I'm a little surprised that we don't have.
Are you? Because I figure too, the problem with that is that it is a game out of time. And granted, for as good as Sunset Overdrive was, I haven't gone back in forever, right? I feel like anytime you bring an older game back, especially now, you're fucking Insomniac now, right? You put out 3 banger Spider-Mans, KindaFunny's Game of the Year, Ratchet and Clank, right? Like, I feel like if you put out Sunset Overdrive and it is a remaster, whatever, a HD, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know what I mean? Not a remaster, but not a remake, but a remaster. I feel like there will be attachment to what that actually means, and I think when you play it, you might be, oh, this is a bit thinner than I thought it was in terms of story, in terms of what it's doing.
I think people get it though.
Yeah,
I think it would hit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it, Chad. I didn't know if you had more to say.
No, yeah, I mean, I just think it's funny that we both said yeah at the same time. But I played this not too long ago. I still have never beaten it. I keep restarting it because I just end up not finishing it. It's a fun time all the time.
Yeah?
I think it's because while I feel like when you play it, it does feel like dated in the sense that I think it has a lot of old school sensibilities in terms of it's really wacky and like it's a little edgy, but it's edgy without being edgelordy, which is rare for even a game of any age really at this point. Once you start going back in time, it's like things get kind of, I don't know, a little goofy, but it's like goofy in a way that feels like not cringy. It's exciting, and I think what this game really is, it's a traversal kind of almost skate game without having skates because you are just sort of grinding the rails. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's almost like in a weird way, I think in a sense, it is the most Insomniac game Insomniac has put out because I feel like it
more
really
than
blends.
Fuse.
They did make Fuse.
I don't know about. I don't know. I didn't play Fuse.
That was a joke.
But
Remember, EA totally like ripped out the style of that game and made it look like every other shooter.
Right. Like whatever the case may be, right? Like I think it kind of embodies all of the components with traversal, where we think like the great traversal of, Spider-Man, you think of the guns and the gadgets, you think Ratchet and Clank, and then honestly, I swear to God, I had a third one, I can't remember what it was, but it's fucking all of them. It's all of the vibes are in there in a weird way. So
The
yeah,
emotional resonance of Song of the Deep.
But yeah, I think it's the thing too of like, I think people would get what it is, especially if you package it as, hey, this is
See where Spider-Man started.
Yeah, like or this is Sunset Overdrive remastered. We're taking the old game. It's finally on PlayStation. We're not gonna like overmarket it. We're telling you what this is. We're putting it out, and hey, this game that's never been on PlayStation before is now on PlayStation. I think enough people are familiar with Sunset, and like enough people haven't played it that it would be exciting nonetheless. And on the same topic of updates, another one throw out there that's like an ongoing thing that we're always talking about, an update to Bloodborne.
How has that not happened? That is another. Are you kidding me? What a ridiculous statement for the fan base of Bloodborne that there isn't the 60 frames a second at the very least, let alone a remaster of somebody jumping in and making it look as beautiful as possible on PlayStation 5.
It feels like such a missed opportunity, and it almost feels like somebody's asleep at the wheel. Like I wonder if it is, hey, this is early enough in the PS4 cycle when this game came out, because it came out in 2015, that like it doesn't feel like one that we can just director's cut or remaster.
Bullshit. We got Last of Us Part 2 coming out in 2 months.
Yeah, but that's more Last of Us. So I feel like they're gonna always be talking. And I'm not trying to say Bloodborne doesn't have a lot of fans, because it does, but I am
my
surprised
point, though.
It's not there. But I know why Last of Us is there and Bloodborne isn't. Is my thing.
Yeah, and to my point, like that is. Last of Us was 2020, right? Like it was toward the end. Same with Ghost of Tsushima. Same with Death Stranding, right? There is like a cutoff though. And I think the cutoff might be before 2016, where it's like PlayStation doesn't want to touch anything that came out then, especially if they think that they're not going to have another iteration of it. I think the fact that we know Last of Us, we're going to get more Last of Us eventually. We're going to get more Ghosts. We're getting Death Stranding 2. I think 2015 is long enough ago for PlayStation, where they're like, and also the fact that they didn't have a first party studio develop it. It was From Software, and so like. I think they want people to somehow forget about Bloodborne, even though we'll never forget about Bloodborne.
Yeah. And I'm not even fully seeing it all on PlayStation, even for From Software. The fact that they haven't gone or worked on making a Bloodborne, I think is crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's just money. It's easy money.
And my thing is, I know a lot of people are clamoring for a remake. I personally don't even want a remake. I would push an update. Like, push an update that just lets me play in 60 FPS. That's all I want. And I think that's all a lot of people want.
How would you feel if they put out a PlayStation 5 version that was that, but you had to pay $50 for?
I mean, honestly, it'd be better than nothing. I think people would be upset or whatever. But if it is, hey, we're putting out a PlayStation 5 remaster of Bloodborne, it would have to come with 60 FPS. It would have to look way better. It would have to I don't know, I guess give me DualSense features, like do all the things that take advantage of the SSD and all that.
Yeah.
Then it's worth it. Yeah, then I'd be totally down. Okay. I just want anything done with Bloodborne.
Okay.
Anything. Just touch it with a stick. PlayStation.
Speaking of doing anything.
What if you turned it on and pretended that it was 60 FPS?
That's what Andy's always doing, allegedly, with weird mods and stuff he's buying on his computer.
Yeah, I'll just we'll pretend we went in there and did something, and then you can just pretend.
It's the thing that sucks is that I played Sekiro right after Bloodborne, and Sekiro did have an update on PS5 that made it 60 FPS. And so like going from Bloodborne and playing it the way it was and really loving it, but then playing Sekiro, I'm like, whoa, if Bloodborne looked like this, oh my God, Oh
Gilbert Kitchens writes into my Twitter where I put up the tweet saying, what do you want that PlayStation 5 is missing? And says, a first-party roadmap for the next few years. It feels like they've played everything close to the vest for a while now. We know of upcoming games from some studios, but very few details or dates. Of course, this was the problem post-PlayStation Showcase, where it was, hey, here's a bunch of weird live service games that all look the same. Oh, you hate those? We're going to back off those. And everybody had said, well, we want the PlayStation single-player games. We want to know what's going on beyond here. What is going on with Sucker Punch? What's going on with Bend? When are we getting Wolverine? Blessing, do you hold your breath for getting that soon?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get it in the way that we want it, right? Like, I mean, we asked for a PlayStation Showcase for the longest time.
Yeah, I like how you're setting up like a monkey's paw. And we asked for this. This is what we got.
But that's exactly how it happened. We asked for a PlayStation Showcase for the longest time, and we got the PlayStation Showcase, and it was all multiplayer games that ended up underwhelming us. And so I think in the way that we're asking, give us the updates, give us this, right? I think, if we end up having a PlayStation Showcase, let's say spring next year, let's say around E3 time, I could see us getting it and it being PlayStation being like, all right, the multiplayer stuff didn't hit. Let's give them what they want. Let's reveal Ghost 2. Let's reveal what's next for Naughty Dog. Let's reveal Cory Barlog's next project. Let's do it. And then we're not going to get those games forever. And I think it's going to be the reverse Bucky's Fall, where it's like, oh shit, well, like we asked for it, we got it, but now we're just waiting forever for these games to actually come out. And so
I mean, we did that though, right? I remember those multiple E3s that were Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and
it was like Death Stranding.
God of War, Death Stranding. You're right. It was Death Stranding. You're Death Stranding.
Yeah, but did
and
people
Days Gone.
like that? I guess is the question. Or do you think
The
that's, like,
fucking
right
game
way to
sold,
go?
and you didn't hear as much as like we don't know where we're going, right? That's the whole
true.
thing. Is people feel like they don't know where they're going right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I think it's just a balance of timing, because I think we got those, and a couple years later we got those games. Like it wasn't like it wasn't a Kingdom Hearts situation, or like a Final Fantasy versus 13 situation where it's or Last Guardian. I mean, where are these games? It's been 5 years. Like I want them to make. I don't want a game announced if it's more than 2 years away. I think 2 years is a sweet spot for that.
Doubling down on this before we get over to Janet for thoughts. Hugo wrote in and said, the game lineup exclusive to the PlayStation 5 is still very light. Returnal, Demon's Souls, Ratchet, and Spider-Man 2 are the only noteworthy full exclusives in 3 years. I upgraded from the PlayStation 4 without regret, but honestly not knowing what's next, and the live service push has me worried. Janet, obviously we all were like, ooh, when they started doing this live service business. Since then, of course, they've talked about delaying those things and moving those around. Where is your head at? I haven't had an update from you. Do you think we're still all in on live service? Do you think we're going to see that peeled back? Do you think we'll actually ever play fair games, or is that canceled?
Oh man, this is so tough, because for the longest I felt like this is what they're doing and they're gonna go down with the ship no matter what. And now I'm like, I'm not so sure. I think we'll see some, but I don't know if we'll see enough. Like, I guess if I have to make a prediction, because it's the point of the question, right?
Sure.
I feel like when we look back, we will acknowledge that, like, oh, this was their live service push, but I don't think that push is going to be as distinctive as we initially thought it would be. I think it'll be more of a, like, flash in the pan, like, oh yeah, they did put out, like, I don't know, three titles that kind of fall into that, and then two that, like, I guess fall in if you think about it, kind of thing, where, I think as far as what's the Fair Games was the example, right?
Yeah, Haven Studios.
Yeah, I think we will see that, but I think titles like Fair Games are going to be few and far between in terms of the live service push. And I think when we look back, we'll look back at it as their live service push never happened. And I think when the PS7 is out, we'll be like, yeah, what if they did more live service? They tried that with the PS5, remember? It's like, yeah, well, Fair Games was actually pretty good. Was it good? And then, we'll have that kind of conversation. So, shout out to how many years that is from now where we figure that out, someone put it in the calendar. But that's where I think we're going to end up landing with that, where it'll be, you'll get a little, but I don't think it'll be the big push that they sort of initially pitched it as, which is also part of why they're like, this is why we don't pitch things in public, because then we change our mind.
Yeah, funny enough, I think this kind of combines two of mine that I have written down here, which is I want more exciting new IP. I more things like Returnal. Going back to what we were talking about with the end of the PS4 era, I loved the most exciting time I think I've had with PlayStation has been that run up of, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, Days Gone. Well, obviously not every game hit for me, but the idea of every new showcase, there's a brand new game, a new IP that's big and AAA that's being shown off, and I'm like, that looks really cool and different. I want to try that out. I miss that feeling. I think we got that from Returnal.
We got to get back to that though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
That's the whole thing, is just this is the ongoing conversation in our industry, let alone for AAA big budget games, that they just take longer. And so I don't think we've moved away from that as much as it is Sony Santa Monica, Bend Studio, Sucker Punch, etc. are all working on things. It's just that they're gestating a longer time. And back to what the point we were making earlier, right? Janet was making in terms of announcing too early and talking about something for 3 years, 3 E3s in a row, right? Now maybe they're trying to make it sure that we don't come out with this stuff until we're sure it's at least 9 months to 18 months away.
But for me, it also goes back to the first half of this console generation so far. Feeling not as exciting, not because it's not exciting, not because we're not getting games, because God of War Ragnarok and Spider-Man 2 are both dope. And Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart are dope. But yeah, the feeling of not even knowing what that game is going to be like I know what Spider-Man 2 is going to be. I know what God of War Ragnarok is going to be. And I'm going to like them. I'm going to have fun with them. To combine that with the multiplayer thing, right? Again, going back to this latest PlayStation showcase, it being a bunch of new IP, but it being multiplayer, and those not being the wowing IP that we wanted. I'm getting the feeling of oh man, yeah, we got to line these up better because one of the other ones I have written down is a multiplayer powerhouse. Like I think something to come through, and I know Call of Duty isn't gone from PlayStation. PlayStation has Call of Duty, right? But something to come through and be that multiplayer powerhouse that PlayStation can own and go, hey, you like multiplayer games? Well, we have this.
PlayStation
That is
All-Stars.
PlayStation. It is called PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
You're not alone. If I'm bringing two things from the chat here. Lurian wrote in and said, multiplayer games. They delivered in indies, VR, third party, and single player, but their multiplayer games are non-existent. Of course, there's this live service push and Helldivers. We'll see if any of that pays off. But then Samuel Heaney wrote in and said, first-person shooters easily. Letting Killzone and Resistance wither is a mistake, and that gets worse with the Activision Blizzard King acquisition. They've likely bled all that talent in that field, and it's a shame as it's an easy win and a counter to Xbox and/or complaints of a homogenous lineup.
And not only Activision Blizzard, but Bethesda as well. Like when we were talking about first-person shooters, with Xbox buying Bethesda, that means we're not getting more Doom. We're not getting, at least on the PlayStation side, right? We're not getting more Wolfenstein. I would extend that to the RPGs as well, which is another thing I've written down here is like, we're not getting the next Fallout or the next Elder Scrolls, right?
Starfield 2.
Starfield.
Or Starfield 1.
Starfield 2. But yeah, like I think looking at these genres that PlayStation typically hasn't really had to fill in, right? Like obviously we have Resistance and Killzone and all that stuff, right? But like I think part of that exciting run we had during the PS4 era was the fact that PlayStation identified a gap that could be filled, right? Hey, these AAA, big budget narrative third person action games are getting more difficult for our third parties to make. Let's come through, make them ourselves and make them something that's selling our console. Now that we're seeing, like shooters start to leave and also Western RPGs starting to leave, I think, finding something that is, what is our Fallout? What is our Elder Scrolls? What is our Doom? What is our Call of Duty? I think that could be something that helps make the library a bit more vibrant.
Fair enough. Janet, what else is on your list?
It's funny that indies got mentioned from, I forgot which write-in mentioned, the indie aspect. And I do think PlayStation has been a home for indies for sure, but I actually had on my list PlayStation indies to have a bit of a renaissance. I mean, I think we often talk about how as much as there clearly are indie pushes within PlayStation and ways they try to highlight it, I think, at least speaking for myself, I've wanted to see more from the ways those things get highlighted. It's often kind of just, tossed in. And, it's a tough thing to do, obviously, or else they probably would have done it before. And there's like a lot of things at play, but it is often like relegated to like the weaker part of, either not in a showcase at all or like the weaker parts of State of Play, which is already kind of like a weak showcase to begin with. It's a blog post that I end up not reading and someone's like, hey, did you see this? I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't, and hey, that's on me. I can get on a mailing list, right? But that onus, when you think at the larger, kind of landscape, needs to be more frictionless because already there's a lot of players who maybe aren't as indie inclined, I think. But I think if you put the right indie in front of certain audiences, they will end up being like, oh, this seems like something I'm really interested in. So I'd love to see that association more. And obviously, we have pockets, right? Like I think there are indie games that, whether they're exclusive or not, end up getting that sort of, oh, this is PlayStation's indie. We talk about it all the time. They'll have like one that they're always rolling out and we're like, this is the one they sort of chose. But I feel like now's a great time to sort of use a PlayStation Indie push to kind of further leverage the fun of the PlayStation Portal, and then kind of tying into I wrote a list of cheap evergreen requests, and one of them is like a better PS Plus kind of situation. They did revamp it. I think they're making strides, but it's not yet what I want. I think getting to have those sort of in tandem in a great way, combined with, to your point, Greg, more stuff coming to PlayStation immediately or exclusively on the indie front would be like the ultimate storm for me as someone who, loves playing games on PlayStation and is always down to check out the latest indie. And it sucks when it's like, oh, where is that? I have to go somewhere else. I can't just keep all my icons on one little machine. That's kind of my big ask from this list.
You talk about indies. It reminds me, of course, my favorite independent video game of all time, Dave the Diver. Why isn't that on PlayStation 5 yet?
Wait, is that not on PlayStation 5?
No.
Yeah, that's a good. Why isn't that on PlayStation 5?
There's a lot of titles, and I was looking at.
They're waiting for that day. They're waiting for that day of blog posts. We're like, hey, here's 7 indie games. We're just shoving these out of the blog.
Maybe. But on that front, like when you think of a lot of, and again, it's not. I guess it is kind of in a way like greedy to want all of them to arrive. But you think of other hit indies like shoot, now I'm thinking it's an indie game right now. I haven't checked the studio. The Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood is a game that.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean
a lot
it's
of,
published by Devolver.
Yeah. A lot of my colleagues have funked with that game a lot. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm really excited to. And granted, that one maybe is a little bit more point and clicky with like how you move through the cards. But a lot of stuff like that, like when we talk about some of the best indies, a lot of times it's like not uncommon for those not to hit PlayStation, at least in the year of their release. And again, they have had stuff, Cocoon was super fun to get the platinum for, but in general, I think the further you can push that, especially in this era where people are like indie machine, Switch, indie machine, Steam Deck, like where's the indie machine PlayStation conversation, and how can we maybe increase that as part of the indie discourse on how PlayStation uses the platform and their sort of audience to push that sector of gaming forward. I think it's something that could be worked on a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting take right now for indies where you really have to pick a lane. It feels like you pick a lane of if you're going to be on Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch. Then of course you're all over PC, and then the rest have to sit there and falter. And I think a Rogue Legacy 2 when that finally came out, but it was the same thing where I feel like so many of these indies could make a big splash when they come to PlayStation, but don't. They are this thing that is a throwaway, either dumped in December like I was talking about, or it is part of those PlayStation blog posts where it's like 7 things and that's it. And you have to. I don't get the disconnect of like why it's so hard to.
Do indies not sell on PlayStation? Could that be it?
I mean that could easily be it. I think there's also the fact of like did you make your money up front from like when we're talking about Immortality, let's say, right? And you're saying like, oh my God, what a great game, blah blah blah, like. Well, Xbox had that on Game Pass and put their marketing behind that, which made it thing.
And Netflix had it too.
So exactly, and so now you get to eventually that limps out into PlayStation. I assume, is there a marketing push behind that, or is it like now it's just like, well, no one's paying. We're bringing it to PlayStation to get it to that audience, but nobody's paying for it, so it's only there if you really care about it. Which I think is kind of the case with Rogue Legacy 2, where it was. That came out, but it wasn't like a big deal.
Yeah. Bear and Breakfast was the game you were talking about earlier, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah. That is it. I had it down here, of course, in my same Immortality Moonglow Bay. I have DC Universe Online, which was another joke from this week of like, wait a second. They said that's coming out to PlayStation 5 on consoles finally this year. Or, I'm sorry, by the holiday this year. Where the hell is that? Still haven't heard about it.
By the way, this is unrelated, but did you ever see the like AAA third-person shooter that Mint Rocket is also making? I'm gonna say I keep getting emails for it, and I almost feel like it's a bit because I'm like,
we're just a small team.
Like,
that's what defines indie. Now here's our AAA third person.
Because the email, like the subject line of the email will be like Mint Rocket cross Nexon third person like extraction shooter, and I'm like, the Dave the Diver people, like, what is going on here? Like, why do you keep sending me these emails?
I know Janet falls on the thing, which I understand. I've heard her use the argument, the same Jeff Keighley thing of like, listen. The call's coming inside the house. If you guys don't think it's an indie, don't nominate it as an indie because you're the judges and you did it. I'll let you know. I threw that shit off. Like that is not an indie. That's not a like it's the fact that nobody's paying attention to some of these outlets. They're just saying, oh well, it looks like an indie. It's got to be an indie.
Yeah. No, I don't
know. Ratchet and Clank was game of the year, and I sit here and I just take it. Like it just is what it is. But again, I always go back to what is an indie. Is it on Joe Gross Indie Informer? Is Joe Gross wrong? That's not isn't my business if Joel is right or wrong. I'm fucking going down with that ship. I don't have to think anymore. My life has got a lot easier. I freed up that brain space. What for? I don't know yet. I'm saving it for a rainy day.
Seems pretty simple to me. Are you an independent developer?
This is from Mint Rocket.
Does anyone own you?
The developers of Dave the Diver. The game is called Naquan Last Paradise.
What a trip! I can't wait for this to be nominated for indie game.
It's I mean, I had the.
Man, ever since Sifu
this isn't an indie
best
game
fighting game, I was like, you know what?
It's 3D.
These things don't matter.
It's not pixel art, Greg.
From Korean
there's
developer,
no like mini games in it. That's what defines an indie game, right?
From Korean developer Mint Rocket comes an all new stealth zombie extraction.
No, wait, hold on a second. Now the game sounds cool.
Yeah, enter the walled-off remains of Seoul, Korea, to scavenge supplies for Naquan, humanity's last city. Avoid the unkillable hordes of noise-sensitive undead, and leave with a full pack to level up your citizen grade. I mean, it looks like a lot of other.
It looks fine. Yeah,
it looks cool.
I honestly looking at this, the first thing after I see now that it's actually going. Now that it's going, the first thing I look at it, I go, oh, man, I can't wait for Division 3. But you know what?
This is why some of us dominate Fantasy Critic and other people just play. You know what I mean? Like I guess I can see how y'all might, glance at that and be like, yeah, I'll pick this up in my league.
We'll see what Grand Blue Fantasy Versus does.
I'm not gonna pick it up in my league.
I don't know, man. Every day we get closer, and every day my heart rate raises by 1. I'm fucking on the edge of my seat.
But
wondering what this is gonna do.
I bring up Naquan as like the bit of like, are they indie or not? I do want to shout out. what range this developer has, because you're making Dave the Diver a game about a dude who just be diving and like he has a sushi restaurant underwater, and then they're like, all right, now let's make this zombie extraction game. That's insane.
It was, I mean, like when I got into the whole tweet, not war storm about this, right? When I was just like, so you're telling me if Naughty Dog set aside 10 people and said make a 2D pixel thing, that'd be defined as indie? And people said yes. I was like, I can't talk to you anymore. I don't know what to do with this information. Like,
We gotta just fire Andy at this point. Yeah.
oh my God, don't get me started on that idiot. Instead, get me started on patreon.com/kindafunny, on patreon.com/kinda. Well, I think it's Poppy Tio, right? On patreon.com/kindafunny. You can get each and every episode of PS I Love You XOXO for free without any ads. Well, you're paying for it, I guess. So it's without any ads. Of course, you can watch this live as we record it and be part of the show, just like Anthony is, Omega Buster are, and Nicholas are. Of course, you'd also watch all the other podcasts get recorded live. You can get them all ad-free on demand. You get more than 400 bonus episodes of content. You can get cool, exclusive merch only on patreon.com/kindafunny. But guess what, Jack? You're not on patreon.com/kindafunny. So here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. 'Tis the season of giving. Get the perfect gift for a special someone, yourself, or both. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades and quick swap snow goggles that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. You already know I've been out Pokemon going, and Shady Rays have been making me look as dope as I want out in the real world. And that's not all. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Shady Rays is currently in their biggest sale of the year for Black Friday. Don't miss out on the best deals for shades, snow goggles, and prescription sunglasses. You can go to shadyrays.com and try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, that's shadyrays.com for their biggest sale of the year.
The other one on my thing of what's PlayStation 5 missing, I've said this for a long time. They'll never do it, I understand. But it is the design lab for controllers. I love the Xbox design lab. I've made several, and I just don't play Xbox. So it's so sad that I have all these cool controllers, and I'm like, man, I'd love to make a really cool DualSense.
I agree. I feel like we've been asking for this for a decade.
I know we have. That's why I know it's never going to happen, but I had to say it. God damn it, I had to say it.
For the same thing.
Janet, the amount of people who wrote in, Haley, I miss themes and folders being on the main UI instead of tucked away in the game library. 100%. 100%. I liked this one. Radek from CD Projekt wrote in and said, native Bluetooth headphone support. Also
Amen.
true.
Oh my gosh.
The dongles? Get out of here with the dongles.
Because it just takes up a USB slot also.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to use these USB slots for other things.
Yeah.
And charge my controller, pair my third-party headphone. Well, actually, no, that's the same thing. So never mind. Yeah, don't even do that. Just give me these slots.
You know what?
God
I'll be
damn it.
honest. I don't want to use the USB slots for anything. I'm using one now for the fucking Pulse headset, and
Sure.
it just permanently sticks out of the console because if I put it down ever, I'm gonna lose it. So it just lives there now, and I don't like that.
I've been having trouble. So, as I've talked about before, I'm a big fan. Where'd it go? I'm a big fan of these guys.
Let's show and tell.
The
The little guys?
PlayStation
Pulse Explorer.
The
Explorer,
AirPods.
yeah.
PlayStation
They're not.
AirPods.
No, they're not AirPods. They're Bluetooth earbuds, portable.
Please show some respect, Janet. Please show some respect.
I love these things. They came with the dongle, right? I put the dongle on my PlayStation. I put on the God damn it.
I
You
fucking
put
got
on your
his ass.
PlayStation Pulse Explorer earbuds.
Yeah, I put them on, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. They're not working with my PlayStation.
Did you hit the play link button?
On the earbuds?
Yeah,
Yes.
and the dongle. Isn't there one on the dongle too?
Is there one on the dongle?
I think so.
If there is, I didn't hit it.
That
so
might be
maybe
the case.
I'll do that when I
That
get
might be
home.
the thing. That might be
Thank
the
you.
thing. to do.
Appreciate it.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's the case.
I really hope it's the case because I was trying hard. I was like,
thing.
because I was very much looking forward to playing my PS5, having the earbuds on, like not having to worry about like putting on headphones, and also using the Bluetooth on my phone to listen to Spotify and just have it all going at once. That was the dream, and I couldn't live the dream.
I appreciate that you got to one hurdle and you just stopped.
Well, I did start to Google, and I was like, I don't know how to word this in Google in a way that I'm going to get any answers. Like I typed in
PlayStation
Pulse,
AirPods.
PlayStation Pulse Explore troubleshooting, and I was like, no, there's nothing going to pop up for this. Like it's not been long enough.
Remy wrote in on Twitter, I liked this one. It said, honestly, the thing PlayStation 5 is missing, smart delivery and quick resume. The other things would require a change in strategy, parentheses, a more comparable Game Pass competitor, etc., which I don't think is fair to ask of them. It's true. Like, Smart delivery, I still see vex people where they download the PlayStation 4 version rather than the PlayStation 5 version. They get too much in that. But then quick resume is one that I do forget. Granted, I never turn on my Xbox. When I was playing Starfield, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is nice to jump back in. Whereas now when it is jump out of one game, jump into another, it's not like it's the hardest thing in the world to load, but there's plenty of times where it is a game that I need to save in a specific spot, and I don't want to run over there to do it, so I have to repeat stuff.
And also for games like Sea of Stars, my PS5 gets unplugged.
By you.
And I plug it in.
By you.
Then I haven't lost my progress because it's sitting right there
By
in the
you.
SSD.
You did that.
I unplugged my PS5. Shannon, do you hear this?
I'm just saying, when I went over there was no lights on the PlayStation 5.
And I believe you.
That is true. It was fine.
I don't know if I believe him.
But yeah, I agree with the smart delivery quick resume. I actually forgot that I've been wanting that because I wanted it for so long that I just forgot that it existed.
Sure.
But yeah, like I think in general, it makes sense to look at, if competitors in the space have a good idea, yeah, you should do that idea, or at least your version of it in some way. And while, same deal, I don't really use quick resume much because I don't really like the idea of having all these, like, I feel like I'm like a old person when it comes to stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to have all these things open. Like, I don't know.
I'm only playing one thing at a time.
Yeah, like, what are we doing here? Like, for the clout because of being able to, but that's exactly what I want. The clout of being able to. Am I going to use it? No, but it's nice to have,
think
and
you'd
it's always
use
good to
it.
have options.
I at least because you play
I feel
Fortnite.
like you would use it.
You used to play Fortnite, right? Do you still play Fortnite?
You
I
got
would
that
say
M&M
no,
skin?
but I'm coming back this. I haven't got the M&M skin. I'm coming back this Saturday for the event, or this weekend for the event they're having, and I do plan to get that M&M skin immediately.
What's the event this
straight
weekend?
up.
Are we switching seasons, or is it something else?
I don't know offhand.
I got back
just know
back
I'm
into
going.
Fortnite over Thanksgiving. A lot of the kids wanted to play. I had many kids wanting to play Fortnite.
I think a new.
I do
Let's
want
see, the
M&M
Big
skin.
Bang live event, and it is. I like how I read that, and then it's like Omega Buster, the Big Bang event. What is that though? Okay, this is from Polygon. The Big Bang is Fortnite's first live event that's teased to bring about a new beginning for the game, according
Okay,
to
it's not the
developer
first
Epic
one
Games.
that does. They do this every single time, don't they?
I don't know. Take it up with someone at Polygon. I want to
What was chapter 2 or whatever?
Alone.
Wasn't that the new beginning?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, this is also what in the writer's defense. This is how Epic describes it. So whether or not Epic's bullshitting, then take that up with Epic. The event is the end of Fortnite's OG schedule of rotating maps from Chapter 1, which itself ended with a black hole event that introduced a new chapter in a series of major additions, etc., etc. So, yeah, I don't know. It's the end of the chapter events as a Mega Buster. And I don't know anything about how to get M&M, but I'm just going to figure it out.
I bring up, one, I do want M&M. 2, I bring it up because, like, for you, like, play if you're going back and forth between playing Fortnite and whatever else you're playing on PlayStation, like, quick resume, great for that. That's why I really want it.
Yeah.
It's because
Somebody wants to need a multiplayer game, you just leave the single player thing you're playing for.
And like the
2
amount of times I boot up Street Fighter or I boot up a FIFA, and I'm also playing a single player thing, surprisingly often.
Yeah.
Even for Sea of Stars, where I'm like playing Sea of Stars and one other thing, and Sea of Stars is a game that doesn't really do a lot of autosave. Like it wants you to get to the save point. I'm like halfway to the next thing, and I'm like, okay, well I'm getting tired, I want to sleep. But also, what if I booted up another thing real quick? And I'm like, oh well, fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
Right now, you like just don't sleep.
yeah,
no
exactly. Right now,
resume.
I'm like dozing off into the next save point so I can save and then finally go to sleep.
Oh, finally
So save
go to
Blessing sleep schedule by adding quick resume.
Jane, I want to start wrapping this up, but one of the things you said was steal an idea for a competitor. One of the ones that they should steal from every competitor known to man comes from Jay on Twitter, who says PlayStation Store gifting. They got a wish list, but no gifting games. And then this isn't a gag from Jay. Jay says PlayStation Stars implementation on the profile. It's like, okay, Jay, the gifting is a great idea. I can't believe we still can't do that. PlayStation Stars, calm down.
In Jay's defense, which makes it sound like this is my very clear burner account, it is not. Though I feel like that is the name that I have on my burner account. I don't use the burner account. I just use it to get stuff off of my Nintendo Switch. Anyway, back when actually you can still do that on Nintendo Switch. So can't wait for them to stop paying for that because that's probably coming down the pipeline. I think
I have no idea what Jana's talking about anymore.
it's fine. It's not gonna matter. Don't worry about it. The PlayStation Stars thing I think could be cool because one of my beefs with PlayStation Stars is like it's just not quite enough, and I think that could be a step in making it more interesting. And I feel like people that use it, yeah, sure, why not make it the best that it can be? I do feel like there's a world where like the pitch is good. I don't like the execution of it, but again, the execution is ever evolving. So if this is one of those evolutions, I'd be down for it.
I like that it's so bad that it feels like PlayStation's forgotten about it because that means it's not in my face. Because it feels like PlayStation's forgotten about it, I can forget about it until I like open up my PlayStation app on my phone and
You see
accidentally
that
click in the
fucking
stars.
one for me.
Yeah,
I join all these goddamn things. I don't know how I'm still one, but whatever. Get out of here.
It's
I'm
all
opening up
politics,
PlayStation
you know?
Stars right now, by the way.
Final one I want to add here is from Kevin. Kevin writes in, not our Kevin, but a different Kevin, Kevin England. It says, I just want to be able to hold down the PlayStation button on the controller and turn off the console. Yes.
I think I just leveled up.
I miss those days. You leveled
maybe-
up in PlayStation Stars?
Yeah. Well,
How do I see PlayStation?
My
Stars?
meters
Go
went
to your
up.
PlayStation
Like, my
app.
meters went-
Here we go.
my
I opened
meters
the
went
app. I
all the
don't
way
see
up, but
anything.
like my number
wait.
didn't go up.
I see it now. I'm a level 4.
Yeah, I'm a 4, but the meter's up. Like, when do I level up?
It's taking a really long time to load for me, but
PlayStation Stars still level 1 somehow. God only fucking knows.
How are you level
yeah, that's
1?
weird. Why are you level 1?
I joined the things, but then you know what I mean? But like again, it comes out. We get a lot
Maybe you
of
got
games
demoted,
early.
you know?
I got
Shit
demoted.
and they're just dropped you 2 levels.
So right now I have. Wait, no way.
Pulled up
won't
PlayStation
load for
Stars.
me,
It's telling
but-
me to sign up.
There you go.
Here's the thing. I know we're talking a lot of shit. I want you guys to know that I have 1,139 points in PlayStation Stars, and I went
Yep.
down to see like,
What can you
all
redeem?
right, what are the rewards? I am maybe about 100 points away, 100 and something points away from $5 in my wallet. I can get $5 in PlayStation money.
Honestly, I'm getting close to, if I'm reading this right, I'm close to $20. I have 4,079 points, and it says
Really?
5,000 points is $20. I don't even think I did anything. Honestly, okay. This,
Wait,
is
hold on.
PlayStation's new headline? Is PlayStation Stars secretly goated? You know, and then picture of Greg, his level 1, me and Bless living in an ivory tower of fake gold coins.
If you're a listener, I need you to open up your PlayStation app on your phone and go to PlayStation Stars because you might be sitting on some money.
Yeah,
This is actually kind of exciting.
My bar, it does seem like my bar is full, so I am confused about the UI indication, like the little like when you hit the 4 and it goes like you know, I don't know if it makes a sound, but in my mind, that's the sound.
You
it
said we both need to
rank
rank
up. What does this mean?
Do I
This
have
is
to
so
click a
exciting.
thing?
This is their ongoing fucking game. What are you talking about?
My one thing is that I wish the economy of it was closer to the Nintendo rewards.
Yeah, I do think Nintendo Rewards, if we
'Cause-
talk about stealing from competitors, goated for rewards. in my
Nintendo,
opinion.
it almost feels like there's a mistake going on because over the Thanksgiving break,
No facts.
like I bought Venba and Chance the Sonar for free using my points.
Mm-hmm. You get a fuck ton of points. And
Yeah.
then two, which this is so stupid because it's not a fucking Nintendo podcast, but people forget if you get physical, you have to manually click to redeem the little coins or whatever from that. But like, you can do that on physical too. Which also like life hack, like you buy your game physical from GameStop, you get the little thing. If you ever sell it or return it or whatever the fuck you do with it, it's like you also got like the points off of that. So yeah, like shout to physical media, even though the disc drive is quickly going away.
Okay, here's the thing. What I'm realizing.
Okay.
This is the difference between PlayStation and Nintendo, and this is gonna apply only to us, Janet.
Okay.
I think Nintendo gives us points even if we redeem a code. Like if we get
Yeah.
an indie code, I hope I'm not snitching. Nintendo, don't change this because it's amazing. So like we just happen to build up points that way.
Yes.
And so we can get. I'm looking through my points history for PlayStation, and it really is just for eligible purchases.
But hold on, because you know who is this? We get codes for Nintendo. I have not gotten a Nintendo code in ages because they just don't give codes out really that much. So you know, and then I get a lot of indies on either Steam Deck or PlayStation at this point.
Okay,
But
maybe
yeah,
I'm
also
wrong.
you can get full games. Risk of Rain is 2,500 points. I could buy Risk of Rain right now. Dredge is 6,250. Stardew is 3,750. Honestly,
Is it Risk of Rain Returns? Because I might jump on that.
nah. Sorry, it's just Risk of Rain. I think regular, like the regular. But
Gamer
anyway, this might be actually kind of good. I don't know. I'm gonna fuck around and start min-maxing
Yeah, we might have
this.
to like mess around with PlayStation Stars and do an actual.
Yeah,
do a
PlayStation
review.
Stars any percent run. You know, I don't know what Greg's gonna do. He has to fucking grind it. Quit.
Yeah, he has to, like, get his game
call
up.
in. He has
Yeah,
to take a day
get
off.
your
to,
money
like,
up, not your funny up.
Grind his fucking points up. But
You guys are mean
Anyway.
to me.
Get your money up, not your funny
Giving
up.
you guys everything.
Yeah.
You're just fucking rude to me all the time.
also,
Don't-
where's that
don't
controller
deserve
you're
it
gonna send me,
whatsoever, Greg.
How are
Greg?
you,
Thank
how
you
are you
very
rank
much.
one?
I don't know.
Where's my
You gotta level
controller?
up.
You said you'd send it and you never did.
What I said to do?
What you said? Where are you sending it to?
What did I say I do? You said I.
The dual, the fancy one, the Dual Sense
Edge, the
Pro,
Edge.
the Edge.
I said I'd give that to you.
Yeah.
Might not sound like me.
I think it was recorded on the show.
When you come up
Yeah,
for
it
Game of the
was.
Year, I'll give it to you then. I'm never going to
Okay,
mail
cool,
anything.
cool.
I owe
Make
a
sure you
million
remember to
people.
bring it because I could see you not remembering to bring it. That's the thing.
100%. But you have quite some time now to tell me. You can keep
Why
remind tonight
does the
alert.
onus have to be
Set-
on me to tell you?
because you
to
want your
bring it?
free thing. Set an alarm right now on your phone to text me tonight at 9:30 p.m.
Okay. How?
Then I'll remember to bring it, and then it'll be at my desk. lowest drawer in case
Why
I
can't
die.
you just bring it immediately? Because you can just
That's what I'm
leave it
saying.
your desk till I
He's
get
saying
there.
That's what I'm
tonight.
saying. No, I will do that. I will
okay.
bring it tomorrow. It'll be in.
I
And I
thought
just
you
said
were
it'll be in my
saying, like-
lowest drawer in
Okay.
case I die.
Okay.
Lowest drawer.
Is that all you're leaving us? Honestly, I
No,
got
there's a
probably
bunch
most
of Cliff Bars and lightsabers in that drawer too.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
Some Cheez-Its, a few Count Chocula bars still.
There's like a lot of cheeses, aren't there? I remember looking.
No, I've eaten a lot of Cheez-Its.
Okay.
There's nothing.
Because I
but
remember
Cheez-Its
looking at
left.
that drawer when you were gone, like for an extended thing. I forget why. And like there was a lot of a certain snack. I forget what. snack it
Blessing,
was.
what's going on with PlayStation picks this week?
It's not for PlayStation picks, of course. This is where we talk about the games we picked to play on PlayStation. The drop this week, you're getting Coleco, you're getting Gangs of Sherwood, and you're getting Turok.
Isn't it
3.
Calico?
Yeah.
Calico.
Okay.
You're getting
the cat.
Gangs of Sherwood. You're getting Turok, Shadow of the Oblivion remastered.
I started Calico.
Oh, really?
I didn't get deep into it. I've been in a mood, like, so for mine, I put down here Dredge, and then I put the second bullet point, Cyberpunk question mark. I've been in a weird place where we're at game of the year time now, so I'm trying to play a bunch of stuff that I've missed or whatever. But the problem is with that level of freedom, which I'm not used to after a year of reviews, I keep jumping into things and be like, this is what I want right now. This is what I want. So it's like I jump into Calico and I'm like, it's not that the game's bad. It's like, I don't want a
in the
management.
mood.
I always feel like I want a management sim. Remember, I was really hot on Idle Manager when they showed that one time.
Oh, yeah.
I actually played it on PC. That's how much I thought it was. And I played it for a while and enjoyed it fine. And I know that's come to PlayStation 5 months
Idol
ago
Manager,
slash
is
years
that
ago.
like music idols or is that like idol?
Yeah, like
still?
Japanese idols.
Gotcha.
Yeah, whatever. And so it's like I just keep hopping around stuff. And I was on the Indie Council yesterday with Janet, and I had started Dredge,
Yay.
done like 30 minutes of that, and then I came home last night and played more Dredge. But this is where back to the conversation from earlier of like, I just want to play Moonglow Bay. So I'm like, nah. And so like I'm in this weird spot of like, even with all the things I need to play still for Game of the Year and want to touch and do all these different things too, I keep thinking like, man, I want to play more Starfield. But I'm like, you know what? That's not remote play on my PlayStation Portal. What if I roll the new Cyberpunk character? Because I want that open world RPG thing. When you were talking about in our Phantom Liberty review of you using the katana and like I was like, that could be fun rather than just go and do my normal thing of being a hacker with a gun. What if I built a very specific character and went off in one direction? Especially with all the bells and whistles out of that game.
I say you should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're somebody who really liked Cyberpunk the first time.
I did
right?
platinum it, and that's the other good point of this. I could platinum it on PS5. The trophies don't carry over, so I could, get another platinum here.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend it.
Okay.
Do it.
Jan, I forget, what did you think of Cyberpunk overall?
I didn't finish it. I was whelmed by it. Like it didn't feel that
Yeah.
interesting to me
Is this at launch or is this more recent?
at launch.
Got
But
it.
I played it on PC, so like I didn't have the bugs that
Sure.
people had. But
Sure.
I was like, I don't know. It seems like a very regular RPG experience. Like it wasn't that interesting to me. But
Okay.
I've
fair
heard
enough.
from people that go back that they're really into it. So I don't know.
Janet, what did you pick to play on PlayStation?
You already know, man. I finally finished Kingdom Hearts. Thank you. I should have brought the stupid thing. It's like too far away and my headphones are not wireless. But I beat it. It took about, I think, 40 or 45 hours. But I beat it.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank
And then
you.
Bless, what have you been playing?
Nothing.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. I'm watching a lot of TV. Started watching Attack on Titan season 2.
Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that.
Finished season 2 of Insecure. A weird, back and forth with TV shows. Because, Insecure and Attack on Titan couldn't be more different. But that's how I spent my Christmas break.
Also,
and
Chad is
pretty good.
saying about the Sea of Stars. It's
That's
really
not
just
chat, that's
but-
Barrett.
Yeah.
Greg
I-
not
he's in
continuing
the
Sea of
chat.
Stars upset me more than not continuing Persona 5. Same with Bless,
Yeah.
Cycle PS5.
I mean, he
But
seems
the
really
thing with
upset
Bless
about
play
it.
Sea of Stars. For the love of God.
The Sea Stars thing, frankly, for me, is similar with Greg with all the games that he listed, right? It's like I'm just not in the mood for it. Like I pick up Mario RPG and it's the same thing where I'm like, I just don't feel like
Hey,
playing
man.
a turn.
Well,
It's the same thing.
RPG,
For
I
me,
thought
the Sea of
this
Stars
is
problem was I
developed.
popped back in with Portal, and it was immediately got my teeth pumped down my throat. Where I was like, oh fuck, I forgot how to play this. And it's like I know that there's all the different like accessibility things I could turn on to make it easier. I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I also don't want to struggle right now, so I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And
Maybe-
again, I want like more turn-based combat is never my shit. So it's that thing of like, if I'm not in the mood for turn-based, it's just not going to work, which is why I'm drawn to like, what if I did Cyberpunk? What if I did Starfield? I booted up fucking Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning last night to pick up my save there.
I feel
Because I
that
love
happens
that
a lot
combat
with
so
you.
much. I love that combat. I love
Yeah.
that combat.
I think I'm realizing that I think I might have checked out for the year for video games. Like I think
Fair
even
enough.
for the break, talking about games we're gonna pick
Yeah,
up
yeah,
and
yeah.
catch up on. I'm like, is there anything I really want to catch up on? Like I could finish Jedi Survivor, but I think I've just accepted that I'm not in love with that game. I could pick up.
Enforcing a game is the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe if I just don't play, we're gonna go into like a really heavy January, February video games. And so if I just take off December and watch the TV that I want to and like watch movies, listen to albums, I don't know, touch grass, maybe that'll be actually the better option for me.
See, I'm on the opposite. I'm going all in on as much as I can until I
Die.
burn out and give up. And then I'm going to show up and be like, hey, I didn't finish it, but I did a lot of other stuff. So we'll see how far I get. I don't know if I'll get to Sea of Stars, Barrett. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's like, it just, I feel like
It's
it's
the
not that long to
Psychonauts 2
finish
for
it.
me this year.
But at least Sea of Stars, like, I know is good. Because Psychonauts 2, I'm like,
I got him, Janet!
Just
I gotta be
twist the
honest
knife
with
while
you.
it's already
Ladies
in,
and
Janet.
gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You XOXO. Remember, we're your PlayStation podcast. We're here each and every Friday morning, but you can get us early on patreon.com/KindaFunny, where, of course, you can watch us record the shows live on Thursday. You could get them ad-free. You get the ability to watch all the other podcasts live as we record them. You get more than 400 bonus episodes of content only on patreon.com/KindaFunny. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.